The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. So, for those of you who have never listened to us, this is the Ask Brien radio show. Mr. Engineer, how do you spell Brien?
B-R-I-E-N.
You didn't emphasize the E enough. It's A-S-K-B-R-I-E-N, and it's for part of the AskBrien.com network. Now, I don't know if you know, if you've never watched this show before, but the Ask Brien radio show, each week we try to help businesses learn something about business. So each week we try to do that, and if you come across and listen to all the episodes, you'll have a very, very good business library to learn anything you need to know about any business problem. That's what Ask Brien's all about. Now, I didn't announce that we are 1220 AM and 98.1 FM. So you can listen to us on the radio at any time. The KHTS app is also available. You can download that and watch that at any time. So that's what we have to watch. Now, what is Ask Brien? So Ask Brien was created about 3.5 years ago, and that was a network, a website, whereby people could ask and answer business questions to other business owners to solve business problems. But since then, it has grown and scaled, and now we have experts on the Ask Brien website, and experts are approved. So not everybody can become an expert, but if you are qualified, typically if you have 10,000 hours of experience in one area, you probably can become an expert. But if you don't have 10,000 hours, you probably can't qualify. Now, that's not the only requirement, and of course, certain people that have had certain business success in their careers don't necessarily need to have those 10,000 hours. But typically, if you have 10,000 hours, you've probably learned a little bit about your product, your subject, your service, whatever you're offering, and you probably can make it as an expert. If you do make it as an expert on the Ask Brien site, upon your approval, you are allowed to have your own profile, and your own profile allows you to post videos, post ebooks, post your blogs, post webinars, and every single expert's webinar is then put on the master calendar for webinar scheduling for business shows or business topics that you need to have, and that's nationwide. And anyone can go on, any user of the Ask Brien website can go on, log in, and then add it to their Google Calendar or Calendly so that they know anytime that webinar is going to be on, that they can listen to it. That's what the Ask Brien network is all about, and we are all here to help you solve business problems. Now, my co-host, Lindsay, is unavailable today. My other co-host is also unavailable. His name is Alex Grossman, and he too is unavailable. So I guess this is it, pal. It's us. It's me. It's my guest. And we have a very fabulous guest. We'll get into that. And my engineer. That'll be it. It'll be a very sad day. I don't know how everyone's going to survive, but we will try. Try.
We will survive, Mr. Brien Johnson. We will
there's
survive.
a song.
Yeah, I will survive. Yes, sir.
Are we going to get into the rock and roll here?
I don't have the voice for it, but I mean, I could try.
Well, there's a lot of other things you don't have, but that's okay.
Oh.
Whoa. Badumpa. You don't even have a badumpa. Where's your badumpa on your soundboard? Badumpa. And we have our guest. She's very, very successful. She started out she's been an entrepreneur. She's created a lot of businesses. She's helped a lot of businesses from small folks to big, huge companies. She has a great background, great strategy, great comprehensive background of what business is all about. And her name is Deborah Castro. Deborah, you there?
I'm here, Brien. How are you?
She's not.
Yes, I am.
Hello, are you there?
I'm here.
I guess
I could hear you too, Brian.
I don't hear anything.
Really?
I can hear you, Brian.
Technical difficulties.
You and your
I don't hear anything, by the way, out of my headphone. You want to give me another headphone or something?
Yeah, sure. I could
We
definitely
can try
do
something because I don't hear anything. I've been blind.
That. I think you mean deaf.
Whoa, whoa,
Blind,
whoa, whoa.
blind would be for sight.
Anyway, there is nothing coming out. Just to let you know on this earpiece. We'll be with you in a second, folks. Sorry for the delay. Hello?
Can you?
No, I
Hello?
don't hear anything.
Why is that? I wonder.
Hello?
Well,
So-
I can hear you fine, Deborah. We're trying to figure out on Brian's end.
Okay.
So we have another engineer. So now we have two engineers, one of which is an expert. Okay, now I can hear something. Deborah, you there?
Yes.
Now I can hear you. Somebody didn't turn the volume up. Badinga.
Fantastic.
Could you turn the volume down?
How
a
are
little
you,
bit? 'Cause
Brian?
Now it's like how I talk. Sorry about that. So, Deborah, a couple questions for you before we begin. Want to know a little bit about your background, and we don't need to go all the way, but so my understanding is I think your first business started while you were in college. Is that correct, or high school?
Yes, that's correct. Got started in the early days getting a franchise to a business and really learning the ropes of what it's like to run and operate a business while I was going to school full-time at USC, and opened up an office, still living at home, but enjoyed the opportunity that was presented to me to do this business. So I scraped together the money, and we opened this franchise for business, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what it takes to do that, also signing your name on a note at that early age and being responsible for paying it back. The business was Success Motivation Institute, and what it was a whole way that you could go and implement programs for businesses to help them goal set, and individuals and businesses self-improvement. And it was fantastic. It opened up a lot of doors.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or my audience is. So I started out my career as a franchise attorney for Mailboxes, etc., which is now called the UPS Store. So I was writing the franchise offering circulars, which is now called the franchise disclosure documents. And I still do that for a number of clients to this day. So I actually am a franchise attorney. So I know very much about the franchise world from the legal side, not as much from the business side, but obviously from the legal side. And I've been involved in a number of different franchise concepts, from haircuts to hamburgers to private postal services to massages places. So a lot of different things. Question for you. So did you start out as a franchisor, the one who actually was creating the franchise system, or were you just a franchisee?
I was a franchisee. We bought a franchise from someone that was, we were a client of theirs, and we were very excited about the business. We had gotten into something. This was very young. I mean, I was 17, and I was really interested in business, and I just was soaking up every piece of it I could get. And when we first started, we got into multi-level marketing, and I was really enjoying that. But a lot of that is, it's just all sweat equity, and it's getting out there, and it's knocking on a lot of doors and telling your story and getting pumped up with motivation. And one of the folks that came in to give us some of that extra injection of motivation happened to own this franchise called Success Motivation International. And as we got to know him better, and as he was coaching us, which was basically what it was, we kind of became candidates for him. My partner and I became candidates for him, and he said, you two are young, you're vibrant, you would make great business owners for this. And he was planning to go to the headquarters, which was in Texas. So he was putting his franchise for sale, and we went out and put the dollars together to acquire the franchise from him. So that's how that came together. At the same time, though, I wasn't willing to put my college on hold. I didn't feel that I wanted to. I really believe in finishing the education, so I tried to juggle those two things, which I did while I was going to school, because I felt that was really important.
So you must be into bowling, because you can throw the 3 bowling pins up in the air and juggle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the perfect training ground to be an entrepreneur, because that's what you have to do. You have to wear all the hats. You have to juggle everything every day, and you have to feel comfortable moving from sales to finance to marketing and everything in between. So that's what I felt I was really well suited for after having that experience as well.
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind from that. First of all, college is tough enough to go through, so obviously that's got to be hard. But on top of that, I have to ask this question, and I hope it's not too personal, but where do you come up with money to buy a franchise when you're in school? I mean, you're trying to pay for the tuition, you're trying to pay for the books and everything, and then you got to come up with money for a franchise. That fee is not cheap either.
No, you're correct. And we did have, this was a motivational franchise where we sold programs and we went out and did speaking engagements. So it wasn't like a fixed operations type of a franchise. It was more of a services franchise. But at the time, you had to buy inventory and then you had to pay the franchise fees. We did, have someone co-sign for us, and which we were very fortunate to do. I was, unfortunately, my father passed away when I was 12, so it was just me and my mom. I didn't have any extra dollars lying around. That's what really motivated me to say, hey, I want to do more. I want to achieve a lot, and that's why I just, we found a way. When you want something, you find a way. And with school, I was on student loans. So it really came down to having someone believe in us, and then us also being willing to work really hard to pay that back and to make money at what we were doing.
So the other part to the piece of this puzzle that I would like to find out is you're teaching business motivational things, and you technically have not even been in business yet. So it's kind of like, the kindergartner trying to, author a book, okay? You're still learning those concepts. So that, to me, is an interesting concept to me, and I think our listeners would want to learn or understand how you were able to do that. I mean, was it just from the training classes and courses that you took from the franchisor, or how were you able to compensate for that area?
Well, that's a great question, Brian.
I like to ask good questions.
Yes. Well, in that case, yes, they did do the training. We had been through the program, the courses ourselves, and we were seeing results with the multi-level marketing we were doing. And so we had an understanding of what it was about, which was some of the principles that, you can read in, whether it's Think and Grow Rich or some of the very well-known motivational books that are out there. It was really a culmination of teaching people to believe in themselves, develop successful habits, taking all of the things that are kind of out there in the universe that they say make what makes success, goal setting, visualization, believing in yourself, manifesting, setting the goals, putting them in writing, tracking them, having someone hold you accountable. All of those things were what we were training and sharing and imparting to the people. And then we would hold seminars at our office for the people that did purchase our product. So we stayed with them all the way along and followed their program. So in essence, we were there as facilitators as well as cheerleaders and helping folks achieve their goals, and that's a very personal thing. So it isn't really telling them what to do, but it's being a guide to help them get there with DVDs, CDs, those kinds of things that they used as the coursework material.
So we have one last question on this area, and then we're going to go on to other topics. So the last question I have is, so you're a young person, you're in college, okay, and you're selling this product to other business owners, that you're the expert, that you have this coaching ability, and you're under 20 years of age probably, and I'm just
Mhm.
trying to figure out how you make that sale when you're that young to try to tell somebody that I've got the business background and you need to hire me at that age.
Well, I would say naivete, but that's not really what it was. So the training that they give us, that we would go to Texas, and also going through the coursework ourselves, they did have different courses. It wasn't just, there would be, courses on success, courses on motivation, courses on account development strategies. So it would be teaching, almost like teaching courses that were already prescripted by many experts, a combination of PhDs and other folks that had put these courses together. And then we were out there, using this as the vehicle, if you will, for what people can use to help them achieve their goals. So a lot of what I did was public speaking to large groups, going out to companies and explaining what the program was, how you can have more balance in your life. If you set the goals, you can have, the goals that you want to achieve in each area. And then really it came back to holding yourself accountable, and then being part of the group that we were facilitating would be to also have your peers and us hold you accountable for the goals that you wanted to share with us. So there were a number of different training programs and courses that you could take, and it was very, very positive and uplifting. So that was what was great about being part of it, is because people look forward to seeing you, and you look forward to helping them. And it was, and a lot of people in sales in particular, and anybody that has done sales knows that you need to keep your motivation level high, and you need to be positive and always looking towards the future, because you get more no's, as you know, than you do yeses. So in order to do that, you've got to really get people to think, how do I get there? Am I succeeding or failing? And you have to constantly be putting in the positive input to outweigh the negative that's out there, world from news, etc. So how do you do that? Not get down. This is a way to do that, is just feeding your mind with positive input, and I really believe in that.
Listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. So after you graduated college, because I want to try to speed up to where we are today.
Yes.
How many different companies and jobs have you had since then?
Well, it's been an evolution. I mean, I have worked at, I started off after that, I worked in a company that was similar, Xerox Learning Systems, which did a lot of different types of trainings, but I really, really love the advertising business and marketing and communications, and have been fortunate to be in that space ever since. And so started my first company with partners, and I think I can say to some of the folks out there that, it's challenging to have partners. So that was one of my first lessons learned in post-graduation, was that, if you are the person that is out there making the rain and also doing 90% of the work, then maybe you have to look at, how does that partnership work? So I've learned over the years, what works for me and what doesn't. But that was the first business in marketing and advertising, and we did a lot of live events and shows and marketing, some of the things that we do today, but also we're doing new things today with digital technology. From there, it evolved more into doing full service advertising, marketing, and strategy, and it became a sole proprietorship. So knowing what some of the listeners out there might be thinking about is, well, what are the advantages? And I know you can speak to that, the advantages of sole proprietor versus, going in to be an S Corp or an LLC. So I've had those experiences too, of being that sole proprietor and going out, knocking on doors, and really trying to work with big companies. And so our target audience was always working with the national brands and doing large-scale projects. And that's been very, very rewarding. And that has evolved over the years. The marketing principles haven't changed, but the tools certainly have. And so at any given time, there's different marketing tools in the toolbox that you can use that work better than others or reach your audience more effectively. So we've seen that a big part of marketing is, and when you're running your business, is to adapt. And if you adapt, you have a much better chance of staying in business longer than if you don't. So, for example, like the book Built to Last, a lot of that book is about those kinds of things where, people don't necessarily have a plan for every single part of their business, built out to the nth degree, but they have an idea of what they want to do and how they want to evolve it. And being open-minded to having that business evolve allows you to stay in business, in my opinion. So am I in the marketing business today as I was 20 years ago? Yes, I'm still in the category of marketing, but the types of tools that we use and how we go about doing it, those tools constantly get refined and refreshed, and new things come in and other things become less relevant. The principles stay the same, though, as far as what makes marketing good and effective. So that's what I would say, is that I feel that the business, I've had partnerships, I've gone solo, then I've had a partner again, and then I've gone solo. So the business has changed as well as the structure has changed over the years. But I would say that I've always been in some form of marketing under that umbrella.
We're going to be taking a break. We'll be right back with Deborah Castro.
Your building sign is essential to getting customers to your location. Feathers can help you get your business noticed. Feathers, now in a new, larger space with plenty of parking. They walk you through each phase of your project with special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will provide you with a sign that you can be proud of. Your sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Visit Feathers online at feathersigns.com or go to Feathers' brand new, bigger location at 26017 Huntington Drive off Rye Canyon, or call 298-9442.
Who says nothing good happens after midnight? Denny's is best known for their breakfast served round the clock, like the Grand Slam. But you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner in a casual atmosphere 24/7. At Denny's, the lunch and dinner menu has a variety of appetizers, craveable burgers, salads, and entrees, along with the best desserts in town. Wherever you live in Santa Clarita, there's a Denny's close by. If you're pulling an all-nighter or don't feel like cooking, get into Denny's today. Good stuff is happening at Denny's.
It's time to plan our company party. Tables, chairs, lights, and a dance floor. So much to coordinate.
AV Party Rentals has everything you need for your company party. Visit their large and beautiful showroom in Newhall and discover how AV Party Rentals can create that extra accent for your company party. No worrying, no stress during setup, because their delivery staff is friendly, efficient, and willing to go that extra step to make things easier. On Newhall Avenue and Carl Court, or plan your party online at avparty.com.
California Credit Union, the only credit union in Santa Clarita focused on our educational community. California Credit Union offers low rates on loans for personal and business services, along with financial services for teachers, students, staff, and families. Free checking and very low new and used auto loan rates.
California Credit Union, your personal credit union, located in the River Oak Shopping Center next to Target.
Visit us and open an account today. Insured by NCUA, an agency of the federal government.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
MB2 Raceway, fast, high-performance kart racing at LA County's only indoor electric kart racing facility, and you're the superstar driver. Motocross legend and DEI driver Ricky Carmichael and Team Andretti Green's Brian Herta race in MB2 when they're not fighting it out for world championships, and so can you. MB2 Raceway, located between San Fernando and Santa Clarita Valleys, where the 5, the 210, and the 14 freeways meet in Sylmar. It's MB2 Raceway. Dial 1-866-986-RACE. That's 1-866-986-RACE. MB2 Raceway, where racers race.
It's the Gilchrist Farm Holiday Hoedown, December 14th and 15th. Catch the holiday horse and rider costume parade on Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. Your kids can play in the festive petting zoo with goats, pigs, bunnies, ducks, and chickens. There are pony rides, caroling wagon rides, handmade holiday food, crafts, festive music, and Santa. It's holiday magic at Gilchrist Farms. Just a short ride up Bouquet Canyon. The Holiday Hoedown at Gilchrist Farms. December 14th and 15th from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. Details at gilchristfarm.com.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show. And how do you spell it? Ask Brien, Mr. Engineer.
BRIEN.
Boy, your voice really, I didn't realize you had that kind of voice.
Yeah, it sounded very similar to someone else in this studio.
I don't know. It must be.
My impersonations are getting better, aren't they?
I think you've just been around so long that you finally got it. All right, that's great. Well, we're back with our great, great, great super guest. Her name is Deborah Castro. She has a background, very, very high-end background, very successful person. Started young. She's still young, and she's very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to get as much information out to our listeners to learn from Miss Castro. Now, so first question I have, what do you think is the most important trait for somebody to be successful in business?
The most important trait? I mean, it really has to be, I want to say flexibility. Besides all the other things, I mean, you have to have the knowledge of what your product is, and you have to, I mean, assuming that all of the things, the ingredients you need to start your business are there as far as your desire, but that alone won't do it. But I think what happens is you have to be flexible because things change and don't always go the way that you plan. So you have to have the mindset that things may change, and you have to have that flexibility to adapt. So maybe it's somewhere between flexibility and adaptation. You just have to be able to go with it and then move forward rather than getting stuck.
So like maybe the Yellow Pages going online, that would be adapting and being flexible?
I would say so. That was a pretty good move.
Well, it was that or death. So, I mean, so let's go over a couple of things. So a lot of our business owners really like to learn and figure out how they can create an effective strategy for their business. So how would you go about that? Let's say I came to you, I had a company, whatever the company may be. You know, obviously the biggest one out there is the widget companies. The widget companies are everywhere. So I had that widget company. I'm trying to create a strategy. How would we go about that? We'd have what? I'd give you information about my product or service, and then we'd sit down and try to figure out how would you create a strategy? What goes into that?
Oh, thank you. No, strategy is really the foundation for getting ready to, whether it's go to market or reposition your business if you have been in business for a period of time, or if you want to accelerate a certain channel or opportunity with business. And the most important thing with strategy, and again, it depends if you're a brand new business or if you're existing, is what is the current state. You know, really looking at what you have to work with. Before we talk about where you want to go, we have to kind of know where we are today. So we spend time asking questions, just like you're doing right now, Brien, and do a 2 to 3 hour whiteboard session or phone conversation where we really do a deeper dive into, you know, first of all, what is it that you're selling or offering, and based on that, then looking at the various markets for that or target audiences, and from there, you know, really trying to understand what those audiences want. And if we don't know, then we have to do more investigation or do some research. We usually do a competitive analysis, and we really look at the landscape of what those competitors are doing and how they're going to market and what their positioning is, so that then we can understand, when we know what the goals for the business are, and that's really important to understand the goals, then we can understand how to position that business in the context of, you know, being able to win. And in order to win, you need to have your unique positioning that you can sell against the competition. And really, at the end of doing, if there is an end, but when we come to that conclusion of that initial strategy, is really trying to get that value proposition. What is your value proposition, and what do you do better than anybody else out there, and why does it matter? And if you can get that value proposition honed, you really then can build your marketing campaign around that.
Now, if somebody wants to start a marketing campaign, you know, not everybody, I think I have a general knowledge. I think most people have an understanding of marketing, but most people would say, oh, well, we just need to put some ads on Facebook or put some ads
Mhm.
in the newspaper or TV or radio. They don't even, a lot of people equate marketing with advertising. So what is the difference between marketing and advertising?
Well, that is really the crux of what I think. There's a lot of confusion about that, so I'm glad you asked that question, because advertising is a subset of marketing, and marketing is really the umbrella for all of it. So when we look at marketing, that's all the different ways that you go to market, whether it's having your product or service, it's having the right pricing, it's having the right promotion, and it's having the right distribution, so what they call, or place, which is the 4 Ps. So you look at that and you say, okay, how do you do that mix in order to get, reach the people you want to reach and grow the business? And there's so many different ways you can advertise, and advertising, another subset of that is promotions, right? Like how do you promote the product? So I would not go into something thinking tactics, because there's many tactics in advertising, and one of the things that we find when a client comes to us, sometimes they do have, and maybe because you are very close to your product, you do have good ideas about where you'd like to see it. Once you do the strategy, though, is when you really understand the best way to reach your audience, and that's when you decide which tactics to use. What I find, and that's with very, very large companies or startups, is that it feels good to do a tactic because you're doing something and people feel good about doing something. And sometimes we put the cart before the horse, so to speak, and we start doing the tactics or acting on tactics before we have the strategy in place. And that's where money gets wasted, quite frankly, and that's especially for an emerging entrepreneur or an emerging business. You really, really can waste money if you're not applying it in the right place. So while sometimes we say we don't want to take the time to do a strategy, or maybe part of that means doing some marketing research, which means sometimes people think, oh, research, I don't have time or money to do research. But research can actually save you a lot of money in the long run if you take the time to do that, to really know what the audience wants. Because many of us do, as entrepreneurs or inventors or people that have a great product or an idea, you can fall in love with your own idea and sometimes get a myopic view of what you think everybody else is going to think. But we really don't know until we get out there and actually start testing it and getting feedback. So there are ways to really look at that. Back to the tactics, though, we don't recommend, it's not one size fits all, and we don't recommend the same tactics for every client.
Now, obviously budget does have a factor, right? So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you're starting up, I would think there is a difference, right? If you're starting up,
yes,
you've got, $10,000, which is nothing, okay? And you're going to spend $1,000 a month for 10 months and hoping that you can get to a level where you can bring in some revenue and just keep on reinvesting. You probably don't have a lot of time. You probably have time, but you probably don't have the money and resources to get an actual better result. So, I mean, how much money do you think you need to spend on strategy to come up with a proper strategy?
Well, I think, again, it depends on what phase you are of your business, and I'm sure if you're just starting your business, you have a business plan or have put something down on paper about what you want to do and where you want to go. You do need to budget for that up front. Otherwise, you're basically, let's just say, like you said, mentioned, Brian, if you have $1,000 a month to invest, and you haven't done a strategy, what you're doing is basically piloting something or testing the water, because you're doing your own research by taking that leap of faith and saying, I think this is where my audience is, and I have this much to invest, so this is where I think I want to reach them. And that's research unto itself, because it's either going to work or it's not going to work. The difference would be investing in a strategy, which, again, it depends on how much time and effort goes into that. That's scoped by hours and by the complexity of the product or service you're doing. So, for example, if you have multiple lines of business, and each one of those lines of business is cross-selling to another, or has, if it's a very complex business, the strategy is going to be more involved. If it's a startup and you really have to do projections on how you're going to do your revenue models, that could take time if that hasn't already been done, and really tweaking that. On the other hand, maybe you have the revenue models and those haven't played out yet, but how are you going to support those revenue models at each stage of growth? So in doing the strategy, you say, okay, phase one, we're going to invest in, like we might look at paid search. And you say, okay, we're going to look at some digital tactics to start getting our name out there and to start seeing what the interest level is, and then we're going to layer on top of that these other tactics as we start seeing results and as we start converting. So you can have that kind of strategy where you use the most effective or the most very hyper-focused, hyper-targeted tactics to start generating revenue based on solid assumptions, and then you keep layering on top of it, because there is no one tactic or one silver bullet that's going to pay off across the board. But there are some, obviously, that give you more immediate feedback than others. And to that end, I would say a website is a must-have. So there's certain basic things that you have to have just to get in the game for whatever type of business you're in. There's certain expectations that customers have and things that you need to have if you're selling a product or service online, or if you're selling a service or something digital. Now, obviously, if you're a retail store, even then, people want to go online and learn more about your restaurant or your products or whatever it might be. So there is a certain budget you're going to need just to start a business, and to have a presence, and for people to know that they can do business with you, that you're there for the long run.
So I want to go back to that, but I have a quick question. So how do you know you're successful?
You're asking how would a business know?
Right.
Or how would I?
Right.
Uh-huh.
So we meet. I tell you about my business. We talk about it. We come up with a strategy, and we try to implement the strategy. How do we know what defines success? It's obviously dollars is just one area, right? What would define success? How would I know if I spent $5,000 in month one and I'm doing A/B testing? Okay, how do I know that something is successful at that early stage? Other than looking at my revenue, how would I know?
Well, success. That's really one of the first questions that we ask is, and not just about a tactic, but overall, what does success look like? Because that's a question that we need answered in order to know what the strategy would be. Because if you look at it practically, there's different ways that people define success. I might define, and I'll give you a perfect example. If a company wants to gain market share very rapidly, in that case, they might discount their product. They might even take a loss or have a loss leader because they're trying to rapidly gain market share, and they're not worried about as much as about the profit side of it, but they're more about wanting to be so embedded in that, whatever that industry is or that product or service is, that they are first to market or they are ubiquitous. On the other hand, if your goal is profit and you want to be able to maximize profit, that might mean that you're not selling to everyone, but you're selling to the people that are the best opportunities, and success might look differently there because it might be more about the quality of a lead rather than the quantity. So and there isn't one right or wrong strategy. It's whatever the strategy is based on where you're trying to take the company and what you want to do.
Next question is about branding. So I see a lot of people spend lots of time trying to come up with a name of a company. Lots of times they're looking for something that has to be, usually comes out, by the way, very descriptive, or this is exactly my business concept. I'm a trademark lawyer and franchise lawyer, and so for me, I always tell people it doesn't matter what the name is. Nobody knew who McDonald's was, when they started. They all know about it today, and it's all about building the brand name. How would you answer that question to somebody? People spend so much time trying to create the name. Does it really matter that much?
Well, I think it's more than the name. I think the name is very important, but I don't think that it's only the name, but it's all of the things surrounding that name and how you, as you're stating, Brian, how you give it meaning or how you infuse meaning into it. And that's what good branding is, and what branders do is try to create this whole experience for people that symbol or that mark that you end up trademarking is really has a lot of meaning behind it. And if you can then take that and express it in a mark that also ties to a tagline and your positioning and all of the other things that you're doing, then the brand becomes recognizable. That it's just more than one thing, again, because advertising is actually part of the branding, because once you develop the brand, then nobody knows about you. You have to let people know that you exist, or the brand really doesn't have any meaning. So you have to be on solid ground, though, about how you create the brand. So what we've done, we've named a number. We've done a lot of naming projects. We've done, after we do the naming, then we do the branding. And from that, you're developing the positioning statement or the tagline from the positioning statement, and then evolving that into your whole value proposition, taglines, talking points, and eventually your go-to-market sales pitch and one sheets and all of the things that go with that if you're developing a new product or service.
So we only have about 15 seconds, so we're going to be going off, but real quickly, so what's the difference between a tagline and a slogan? Is there a difference, or is it the same thing?
I would say that they're very similar. The tagline endures with and can be locked up with the logo, and is something that is associated with the brand, whereas a slogan is sometimes changeable with the advertising campaign. So often people do change that, and not every year, but I mean, a slogan is often associated more with the advertising campaign.
Okay, we're going to be right back. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
We'd like to thank our advertisers and readers for their loyal support since 1991.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, Elite and the Magazine of Santa Clarita.
The only magazine in our valley mailed to 80,000 homes and businesses every month, with over 250 pages of community news and features.
Discover how the Magazine of Santa Clarita can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
This is Greg from Consumers Furniture Gallery. For the past 41 years, we pride ourselves on offering quality name brand furniture at unbeatable prices. We carry a huge selection of dining and bedroom furniture in the latest styles and designs. We also have the largest selection of sofas and sectionals in the Santa Clarita Valley. You can choose your style, fabrics, leathers, and colors, or have one of our experts design it for you. Our mattress gallery features over 50 beds featuring Diamond and Serta. Consumers Furniture is located in the Center Point Shopping Center below Sam's Club and Walmart.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Western Bagel has been serving signature bagels, sandwiches, and hand-roasted coffee since 1947. They're family-owned and operated with 11 locations across SoCal, including Santa Clarita on Bouquet and the Old Kmart Shopping Center. Western Bagel makes their own whipped cream cheese, offering over 10 flavors along with other goodies, pastries, cookies, and muffins. Delicious Western bagels. Check out their Bagel Brad Deal of the Week, emailed to you every Monday when you register at westernbagel.com.
'Tis the season to find your thrill at Six Flags Magic Mountain as the park transforms into a magical winter wonderland for Holiday in the Park, daily through January 5th, with millions of twinkling lights, festive shows, special seasonal treats, visits with Santa, and more. Win free Holiday in the Park tickets. Stay tuned to your hometown station and you could be the next lucky winner. Not a winner? You can still share in the holiday fun. Visit sixflags.com for the best deals on tickets, memberships, and season passes.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show. Ask Brien spelled with a, how do you spell that, Mr. Engineer?
BRIEN.
Hey, I don't like that. You're playing around with that E. That E is very, very important. E stands for excellence. E stands for experts. E stands for empathy.
Yes, sir. Yes, it does.
We're a big E company.
Indeed we are.
And e-learning. Don't
E-learning,
forget that.
all right.
All right. So we're back here right now, and we're here with Miss Deborah Castro. And we were going over a lot of different topics. She's has a very experienced business background, a lot of different areas, can talk about a lot of different subjects. And we were talking recently about branding. And I also wanted to talk about, some of our listeners had mentioned something about focus, and that it's so important to be laser focused. Can you explain what that means?
Well, what that means is really focusing on what your end goal is. What are you really trying to achieve? And don't do marketing for marketing's sake. And things can look good. You can make pretty pictures. You can have people tell you that this will work or that will work. But at the end of the day, you have to stay focused on what is the goal. And all roads should lead to helping you drive sales or market share or actions to what you want to achieve. And the only way to get there is to know where you want to go. And if you know where you want to go, then we can help you get there, because the goal is results. And there's no point in investing in any of marketing if you aren't really focused on what are your business results that you're looking for and how you can use marketing to help drive those.
Wow, and I actually thought that all roads lead to Rome, but I guess that's different.
One of our taglines is marketing that drives sales. And I really felt, many years ago and to today, that that's what business owners and large corporations, I think all of the, large or small, have that in common, is that you want your marketing to drive sales. And that's what it should do, and it can do if you plan and you execute and you measure. And it's really important that you measure those results, you mine those results, and then you take those and continually improve. And as long as you're doing continuous improvement, you will get where you want to go, because you're going to keep focused and keep your eye on the prize. And I think that ties perfectly back to what you talk about all the time, Brien.
And the next part of this is, do you need to have a trademark to? Is that part of success? Do you need to have like a trademark? Is it part of branding, or can you do it without it?
I think it's very important, and we've invested in that since day one. I have several trademarks and registrations, and I think you can do, especially if you have a product or you have a great tagline or a great service value prop that you really want to protect that and then tie it back to your domain for your business. I think protect what you own, protect your ideas. So to me, it's very important to protect your ideas because they become valuable, even more valuable as your business grows. And if you don't do that, well, the consequences can be pretty great.
Actually, we are going to be closing our show shortly. So if somebody needs to reach you, they go to what? CreativeProductions.com?
That's correct. www.creativeproductions.com.
And then they can just hit contact us and they can reach you?
Absolutely. Or you can certainly call us at, shall I give the number?
Go ahead.
562-985-1363.
And that's where, Long Beach?
Yes, our headquarters are in Long Beach, and we work throughout Southern California and nationally.
And you can help businesses worldwide, correct?
Absolutely, and we do.
Well, you've been a great guest. We had a lot more areas to get into, and I think we're going to have you back on the show if you're available because there's a lot of other areas that we have not gotten to that I really would like to discuss. Thank you very much. You're listening to KHTS.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You're listening to KHTS 1220 98.1 FM. Thank you, listeners. Have a great day.